Hello, everyone, and welcome to Girls with Sabers. My name is Emerus, and I am joined here today with Luthien, and we are going to discuss the fifth episode of Rings of Power. I love this episode. It was so good, especially the music. The music itself was such a strong character, um, a strong force in this episode.
Absolutely. Hi, Yova. Hi, Tiffany. Hi, Jonathan. Hi, Jay. So many people coming in. Hello. Thank you for joining us on this Sunday. I know it is in the AM across the pond. So if you are across the pond from the United States of A, then uh, thank you for joining us so early. And thank you for listening back if you have to. But
Yes,
yeah,
thank
this
you.
uh this was yeah, Jay, more Lendale all the time.
Yes, yes.
Yes. Yes, please. Um, but yeah, thank you for joining us. Thank you to our moderators. And yeah, this episode was, you could say in a lot of ways it was slower because not a whole lot happened. Um, but it had to be this slow. It's the calm before the storm of battle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I thought a lot happened, but it was just more psychological than
Yes.
action.
Yes.
So I think there's a lot of revealing of character
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of exploration of theories. Theories
Yes.
abound in this
Yes.
episode. Yeah.
Yes. Very much so.
So we have a lot to talk about. So
Yep.
let's go ahead and just dive right in.
Yes.
The episode starts with our lovely Nori and discussing what perils are with our stranger. Of course, the Harfoots are on migration right now, and I just thought this little intro was just so sweet because it shows how innocent but reflective the stranger is, where he's like, here's the definition of peril, and goes, I am peril. I am one. I kill
Mm-hmm.
those fireflies. And it just kind of speaks what many in our fandom think, that this stranger might be Sauron, or this stranger might be an agent of evil and not an agent of good.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd be hard pressed to think he's not a wizard. Um,
Mhm.
Everything he does has wizard written all over it. And Tiffany just said I had a thought. Could it be possible that the old man is a younger incarnation of Saruman? And that's what I was thinking during this episode. There's a lot, almost everything he does is an allusion to Gandalf. But I know in a couple live streams ago, I said I could see it being Saruman. And this episode kind of solidified that in my mind, where he, the moment uh, that, well, we'll get to it. I am jumping a bit forward, but um, he saves the Harfoots, he hurts his arm, and then he's healing himself, and then Nori touches him. That's like, oh, why the heck would you do that? But okay. And he breaks the ice and she goes flying, whatever have you. That moment, it's almost kind of like a Palpatine scream type of moment where in that, and you see him laying in the crater, it sounded like Saruman's kind of type of thing, and you could say Sauron does that too. Like anytime the eye flickers and you hear that, but you heard that a lot when Sauron was, uh, looking through the Palantir and everything. I don't know. It had a Saruman vibe to it. So I'm kind of leaning Saruman. Always like technically he was the first wizard to set foot in Middle Earth, and uh, he did not like that Gandalf kind of got, you know, he was kind of loved more, and I don't know. Like I said, all roads are pointing to Gandalf, but this one I felt like dead on Saruman vibes. And I could see this being Saruman before he was truly corrupted. And yeah, yeah, that's where I'm at.
I still feel Gandalf. I'm not saying it's not Saruman. I think you brought up some very good, solid points there. One of the reasons, and again, this is just a theory, this is just a could be, it's an avenue to think about, is the Wandering Song that they
Mm,
sang, which I thought was a beautiful
mm-hmm.
song. But actually, there's a really sweet story. Um, Megan Richards, who plays Poppy, um, who sang that song, was
Mm-hmm.
actually asked to sing after she went to a karaoke party with the cast and crew, and they heard her sing and said, "Hey, would you sing this song for us?" And she said, "Yes." So she was able to perform this number because of that encounter.
It's like Billy Boyd with his song in Return of the King.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
exactly what it reminded me of. And of course, Tolkien fans hear this this song, and one of the lyrics is a very familiar thought of not all that wonder are lost.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are a Lord of the Rings fan, or know a little bit about Tolkien, that is again, a very famous quote that he talks about in the Riddle of Strider. It's a riddle that Gandalf gives to Frodo so Frodo can identify who the real Strider is.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, here is one of my thoughts. Since Gandalf wrote this for Frodo, perhaps this is a roundabout. It's telling not only the hobbits or the Harfoots that the stranger is good, but it's someone who will write that about another hero that looks ambiguous but turned out to be the king that will return, because it says in the song um that the whisper tells them that not all that wonder are lost. And at the very beginning, you read that first lyric, and it sounds like it's describing the stranger. Um, Beneath trees of stone, the light in the tower, no longer my home. Past eyes of pale fire, black stand for my bed. He fell into that ash, and inside I've known for the unknown ahead. Well, if he is the fallen from the wizards, he's coming from the spiritual realm to falling to an earthly realm. So he's leaving what is to the unknown, where the hobbits are going in a pattern. I don't know, but I just thought that that might be a clue that we're seeing.
Um, Tiffany Garrison said, Treebeard did say that in the past Saruman would walk in the woods and appreciated nature. Um, yeah, I'm leaning Saruman. Again, a lot of people, and me myself included, I would love it if it were a blue wizard. Um,
Yeah.
but I can see Saruman it being uh, him, and it's not like he doesn't know about Harfoots and hobbits and the ways of the world. And he was said, yes, someone in the comments said he was regarded as the wisest. And Um, he told Gandalf, "Your love of the halfling's leaf has clearly slowed your mind." So I mean,
Mhm.
he is familiar with their ways and where they came from, and I don't know. I think it would be. Oh, I don't know. I think it would be interesting if it weren't Gandalf.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
there was a part of me at the very beginning of the series that thought it wouldn't be Gandalf,
Mm-hmm.
but because of the relationship, because of, some of the other factors, he is right now, he's not the wisest. He's very much like a child learning everything
Mm-hmm.
that he has to know. So that's why when I read that first phrase, I was like, this could be Gandalf, and this is language that he will use in the
Mm-hmm.
future to help Frodo understand who is coming to help him,
Mm-hmm.
just like how he felt um, coming to Middle Earth, and people were still afraid of him at this point in time. I don't know, but just a thought there, just
Yeah.
like a circle of thinking.
Yeah. Um, Jonathan says, I do think Gandalf was already around though back then. It's pretty much established that the Maya, the wizards, were sent as guidance in the Third Age, but there is some discrepancy there in lore that they actually came in the Second Age, and I think that's what the showrunners have grasped onto. Like, since there was that small opening of possibility, they ran with it.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I all roads point to Gandalf. I do think it could be definitely has an opening for Saruman. I'm hoping it's a blue wizard because we know nothing. Um, but I think it would be nice to. Nice isn't the right word. We're going to see a lot of characters and have some moral ambiguity around them, Halbrand being one.
Mhm.
And I think seeing Saruman come to this world as a Maya, Sauron as a Maya, to be someone who is sent as guidance, they can be corrupted too. I mean, the wizards are basically demigods, and to see the fall of Saruman, it adds a bit more of a gut wrench to the plots of the Harfoots. But we know that where Saruman is going to possibly fail them, we know another wizard came and was their champion, and I think that could be a beautiful thing to showcase. But I don't know. I do love that with every bit we see the Meteor Man, he's gaining knowledge, and I love his relationship with them. I actually want to go back to this. I made note of it with my husband. Like, I love every bit of scenery and landscape they go through. They have to change the way their caravans and their wagons look and everything. And I just love seeing what they do. And I love the set designs with this. Like, obviously they're actually in New Zealand, but like set in general, in a broad sense. But I love seeing all the different types of things they have to do to their carriages, and their hats and what they have on their heads and they're wearing and everything to like blend into their surroundings. I love seeing that. I absolutely love it. And I love their theme. So hearing that pan flute come in, I didn't realize how much I missed it in the last episode. But then hearing it in this one, I'm just like, oh yay, there's that cute little theme again for the Harfoots. I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it.
I
Yeah.
love the Irish. I love the fact that the Irish represent the Harfoots, and
Mm-hmm.
the
The Celtic,
Scottish
yeah.
are the dwarves, and I think that's really interesting, especially since Tolkien wanted Middle Earth to be England's mythology, and
Right.
of course they're showing that and this using the cultures of the United Kingdom.
Yeah. I also love the little Easter eggs of them going through certain areas of what is going to become the lands. There it's kind of a little bit of the south and east of Gondor, but you have the dead marshes, you have which are a tad marshy here, but um, you have that you have they're kind of just going all around, and I love seeing those nods to what is to come and what has been in the past. Like it's just I'm digging it. I'm digging it.
Yeah,
Yeah, Jay says I love them so much even though the elders can be ruthless.
those elders
Yeah,
are pretty. Yeah, yeah, that's it, just right. But
yeah.
that's how they are as hobbits too.
Yeah.
They're gonna grow into those type of beings where they have the same mentality that we don't
Mhm.
go out, that we don't explore. We stay in Hobbiton and we live our peaceful lives. And then you have uh, some of the hobbits being rather crass and
Yeah.
greedy,
Yeah.
especially with Bilbo. So, those patterns, those genetics run deep in the hobbits and the Harfoots.
Yeah. Moving on, we got the possible cult of Belcor. They're on the hunt for Meteor Man, and yeah, yeah, they're a bunch.
They're creepy. They're
Yeah, as
so
they're supposed to
ominous.
be. Yeah.
I thought the shot of them going around the cliff, and do you think on that circle that dome or shield she is carrying has a pattern that is similar to the pattern that the meter formed? And so they're looking at like a
Oh,
prophecy.
the trace of the meteor across,
Yes,
like the
yes,
path it made across Middle Earth. Not
yes,
only that, but it looks like the constellation that Meteor Man was
yes,
looking up to, like he formed with the fireflies.
right.
So, I mean, it is all tied together. It is possible that if this is like some cult of Melkor, like they're hunting down Meteor Man to destroy him because they
Hmm.
know why the wizards have, if he is a wizard, it's still up for debate, but they could really know or prophecy why they are being sent and they need to destroy them because obviously uh, Gandalf and Radagast certainly help to bring about Sauron's destruction. So, um, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do in the upcoming episodes.
And his or her or their reaction to the symbol does not look like they're happy to see it.
No, no,
they
they do
look
not look
they do not
joyful.
want this. I
No.
say that because as I was researching and gathering these screenshots, one of the articles said they look very happy to see this. I was like, I think you're seeing this from the perspective of meter man equals bad because that to me does not look.
Yeah.
Or I hope you're being sarcastic because this does not look like
I was. They look pissed.
yeah,
They look like this ruined their dinner. Yeah.
it did something more than that. Yeah. Oh, okay. Then we
Hmm.
see Adar reacting to the sun, feeling its rays before it's forever gone. Um, did you see this scene as sadistic or uh, him contrasting how nature feels about the sun versus something that is not natural feeling the sun? Is this like a contrast of how the sun or the light feels to evil, or Adar was in some sense enjoying the orc's pain?
I think from what we saw in the last episode, it really did seem to pain him to have to kill that one orc. And it is possible that he, if they're calling him father, so if he is the father of all orcs, it's possible he might feel and have a semblance of all of the pain that they feel. Uh, I think this could be he's standing in the sun. It's twofold. He is remembering to when he was probably a glorious looking elf and uh, an elf's connection to nature and everything in the sun, you know, could be that. Also, him exposing this orc's arm is, in a way, he is feeling that pain and signifying this will be one of the last times you will have to hide yourself. This will be one of the last times you have to hide what you are, and you will be able to travel safely. I guess it could be a twofold thing where, yeah, and he's kind of hard to shake out on what he's really doing and for what
Yeah,
purpose. He's very interesting character.
because the last time we did a live stream, I could see when I first saw his first reveal last episode and you saw tears in his eyes, there was almost a sense where he enjoyed killing the orc, but was also very sad about it. But there was also almost like a gleam. But then when I watched again, I felt more like he was compassionate.
Yeah.
So it's like almost a optical illusion. This actor is a genius because he gives you a feeling of you can't really interpret the
Mhm.
the character's intentions. You see it one way, you see a caring father. You see him another way, you see him as a sadistic sociopath. Like there's
Yeah.
there's there's something there's something very off here.
Mhm. Yeah. Certainly.
Well,
Yeah, he's
yeah,
so
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we believe he is the father, like a literal father of the elves, meaning you can see that he has maybe skin grafts taken, or like Lou was saying, he has felt their pain. He knows what he has a shared pain with them. So we're keeping that all in mind. But yes, he to me, that is what an elf looks like. Not, and I'm talking not his the not the shade of the skin, not the scars or anything, but that long, lean form with a oval face and real pronounced cheekbones.
Mhm.
That's what I see an elf looking like. Where some of the casting of like Celebrimbor and Gilgalad is a little off. So
Yeah.
it just I love his casting. It's going to be very interesting to know how Adar develops and what this guy's backstory truly is.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. He certainly looks like an older elf, and obviously he is way from the first age as well. So, yeah, I'm excited to see more. I'm excited to see more.
Sauron says that, oh, yes, my great servant.
Sauron in the chat. What is
Yeah.
going on? Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. What's happening?
Give us give
Welcome
us
back.
what you're doing. Where are you? And are you
I mean, I'm sorry.
hidden in
I
plain
actually called
sight?
you Sauron. I mean, you don't dig that, but um, it's your name. It's in the chat, so it's like, let me know. I mean, do you want us to call you Anatar or just you know?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you have
Let
an
us know.
antagonist in Bronwyn.
Yeah.
Bronwyn knows that the orcs are coming. She has been warned, and she is encouraging the Southlanders to stand up and fight. But of course, we have uh, Sauron's number one fan
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
the Southlands.
Yeah.
Um, and he encourages the Southlands to survive like their forefathers and go and surrender to the orcs. He goes, and while he's going, he tells to Theo, this is your time, basically, to quote unquote get your reward. He doesn't say that, but there's a feeling there to me like this guy Ordric thinks that he with that scar he's going to get some sort of reward in
Yeah.
this spiritual hell, so to speak.
Yeah. Um. Oh, interesting. Since Amazon doesn't have the rights to my Anatar name, Sauron will be perfectly fine with some nice wine.
Oh, well, there
I
we
didn't know that
go. Thank
Amazon didn't
you.
have the
That
rights
that
to
relieves
Anatar.
relieves our anxiety.
Interesting.
Yeah. Hmm.
Very
What does
interesting
the
indeed.
scar mean, Sauron? What does the scar mean? Um, back at Numenor, it seems that Isildur wants his father's life now.
Yeah. I didn't want your life, but now I
No,
kind of do.
yeah. Can I have your laugh again?
Yeah.
And um, his father, as many fathers to millennials, say you are not entitled to any privileges now. You are supposed to be a servant of your country, and you need to go find a way to serve on your own feet. No more handouts.
Yeah.
So, lesson learned? Question mark, question mark.
I just love looking at Elendil.
Oh, yeah, that's so nice. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Isildur. I'm sorry.
Getting back to Bronwyn real quick, still think she is the wife of Halbrand and Theo is their son. Um, don't know if that's a hill I'm going to die on, but that would make things pretty interesting once Muriel and co get to the Southlands. But wouldn't that be something where Halbrand's the father who left to try to protect them? Maybe, I don't know, but kind of gives. I mean, I know people like, oh well, anyone can lead, and Bronwyn is a natural leader. But I'm like, what if Bronwyn was supposed to be a queen? Like she's giving off those vibes right now.
Mm-hmm. She definitely does.
Yep.
She's definitely taken on the leadership position. It comes naturally to her, like
Mm-hmm.
many a queen would. And no one really questions it except Sauron's number one fan
Yeah.
in this village. So that's interesting. I know another person. I think it was Dawn. Is it Dawn Lowe?
The
Wonders.
lowdown.
Yes, I wonders if sorry, a little bit of my dyslexia is showing there, but wonders if it's actually he's actually half elf, and it's the son of Andor that we're seeing, and we're seeing that bonding.
Arondir.
Yes, that's happening.
Said Andor. Wrong show.
Sorry, sorry guys.
Could
Yeah.
be the son of Arondir, but I don't think so.
I wonder because he does cover his ears like the lowdown shows, and he does have a hatred for the elves. Maybe it's because he knows that this man committed adultery with his mother and he's ashamed of who he is, or something of that nature. So it's just another way of seeing things. It's another theory out there, and it'll be interesting to see how it develops.
Mm. Um, getting to Arian and Kemen. Uh, Kemen. Now, I know on this show I've said that Halbrand we're feeling, and a lot of people are feeling Witch King of Angmar vibes, King of the Dead vibes. I am totally leaning to Kemen being the Witch King of Angmar
Mm-hmm.
because in the lore, the Witch King and two others were pretty much said to be, who were wraiths, were said to be were Numenorians. And Kemen's actions here, his speech to, or what he was saying to his father, and then, what he did. He was gonna light the ship on fire, and Isildur tried to stop him, but whatever have you. I It's possible. I think he might not. He might make it out of Numenor and survive its fall to become the Witch King of Angmar. That's my
Yeah.
theory
And
about Kemen.
shout out, I can't remember your name. I meant to look at our previous live stream, but there was someone in our chat that was talking about how these two could combine to go against Farazan, to
Mm-hmm.
act against Farazan and betray Isildur, betray Lindel. I'm sorry, I know I'm getting those names wrong. It's one of those days, so just bear with me. But she or the commenter talked about that, and I was like, no, he looks like he's antagonistic with his father, but it really looks like no, he is a true antagonist of the entire show and everything that
Yeah.
is good. Basically, he will do anything for this woman. It's a complete meatloaf song, but he has no exception to that role.
Hmm. Sauron says, "I believe Kemen will be one of my Nazguls."
Oh, I do too.
Yep.
Yep.
Kemen now is my number one front runner for Witch King of Angmar, and Halbrand is my number one front runner for King of the Dead.
There we go. There we go.
Yep.
You will hear more about those theories.
Yep.
Um, so our number one fallen king right here is taken to see the Queen Regent and Farazan and Galadriel to show on the map where the last orc sighting was. Um, let's look at those shields. Does that shield and the symbol look familiar to anyone?
little bit.
Yeah, yeah. We'll talk more about that, but yeah. As you can see on your screen, that is Theoden's shield from Rohan, and it looks like again that ancestry, that Numenorian ancestry,
Mm-hmm.
and the symbols they have are evolving in the generation of the third age. So I love the fact that those craftsmanships are noticing what Weta put on the shields in the third age and
Mm-hmm.
showing the origin of those symbols in this series.
Yeah.
You're seeing that a lot, and we'll talk about that later in the show. But when I saw those symbols in the corner, it was a lot of fun. I saw all of the armor and shields and everything from the Lord of the Rings in a Lord of the Rings exhibit. So I remember them in full their full glory, and
Mm.
they're beautiful. So anytime I can talk about them, I will.
Yeah, we had Galadriel again with Halbrand, and pretty much it was a regurgitation of their conversations before, but this time he said he called her out. He like blatantly called her out. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Why are you doing this? And why do you want me involved? And blah, blah, blah. And it's got to be more than just, you know, fighting for your brother. And she says, if I don't put down my sword, who am I going to be? And I think that was a very powerful statement. And a lot of people are upset with her character right now. But we've said in shows past where her character has to go somewhere. Her
Mm.
character has to evolve and get to what we see in the third age, what we see as the Lady of the Golden Wood in the Lady of Light. We have to see her as a powerful elf, and she has to get to that point. So we're seeing her in this transitional period, and we're going to get to the point where one of these battles is going to be her last.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we see that in the promos of, you know, a lot of people thought it was going to be seeing her in the epilogue, but it wasn't. It or in the prologue. Um excuse me, but it's actually she's there's red all around her. She's covered in dust. Or ash, and I feel that is a moment where they are going to be fighting, and what turns into Mount Doom erupts. So everyone gets covered in ash, and that's what she's covered in. Um, it would be a penultimate moment to where Sauron bursts forth, and
Hmm.
he is back, or at least his host is back. And that's a moment for her that, holy cow. It's a holy cow moment. Um,
Although she is hundreds of years of old at this moment,
she's thousands of years old at this moment.
thousands,
Yeah.
sorry. She's still she and and the story itself and her cycle, she is on an adolescent journey.
Yes.
You know, she is maturing,
Yeah.
and we don't want Galadriel of the third age. We want a younger Galadriel, just like Lou said, or we have a static character.
Right.
We have a character that never changes, never develops. And for some reason, people just don't like to see younger versions of their characters that still have a lot of sharp edges to smooth out. And to me, I love seeing this Galadriel because I know she's going to become the Lady of Light. She's going to become a stillness, a wise stillness at the end of this show. And seeing her develop so much will be a rich experience in my mind.
Yeah. You see an Easter egg of when we'll get to it when Gil-galad is talking to Elrond, you see her mirror there.
Hmm.
So something that's possible that she inherits. And she has to grow to this point. We have to see her grow to the point that we get in the third age. And I, for one, am very excited to see that growth, to see her become who she was meant to be.
Hmm.
And away from war, away from fighting. And she fights now in a different way.
Hmm.
Um, yep. And yes, Miranda, in order to be older and wiser, you have to be young and have an edge. And we're definitely seeing her um, younger, angrier, like Jonathan said, because we have to. It may seem a tad bit boring right now, but it will
One
it
of
will
the
pick up.
one of the things that you have to learn as an adult and a hallmark of maturity is having a positive or a way to channel your anger into something that is productive instead of destructive.
Yeah.
And that's what Galadriel is learning is there's a storm in her. Well, what do you do within that with that anger to make sure that you're leading people into fights that you're supposed to take on, or You're not letting your anger take the best of you. That's what we see her in the very beginning of her scene when people were throwing rocks at her lovely little origami ship that she made.
Mm-hmm.
She went and she tried to beat up one of the guys that did
Right.
it, and Finrod said, "You're losing your footing once again, Galadriel," like assuming that or planting that seed in the audience's mind that Galadriel has always had an issue with keeping her temper in check.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to fight, what do you have to do to fight? You have to keep your feet. And we're seeing Galadriel being able to keep her steadiness, to learn how to be a more steady character to that makes wiser choices.
I think it was very methodical of the showrunners and the writers to give her this plot device of being more radical and more um, tempestuous, because it makes what we've seen in the Fellowship of the Ring, where the ring is in front of her, and even in book lore, the ring is put before her, and she passes the test. She doesn't
Yeah.
take it. We see that tempest uh, fully manifested. And again, people have made the argument, does that really happen, and how it happened in the movie and in the book and blah, 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 whatever have you. Point being, Frodo saw the tempest.
Mm-hmm.
And she passed it. It's the penultimate moment for her where she was put, the ring itself, the one ring to rule them all, was put in front of her, and she could have taken it. And I think it's possible young Galadriel here would have,
Mm-hmm.
but we see her not do it. And I've passed the test, and I will diminish, and I will go into the West, and I will remain Galadriel. And
Mm-hmm.
I think what we're seeing, makes that moment even more powerful, because she's overcome. So I can't wait to see what they do with her. I love her hair in this shot.
Oh, I
I
do
do wish,
too.
I love her dress so much. I do wish we would have seen, there's some characters who are changing clothes regularly. Other characters are in the same garb. I don't know what's going on with that, but I wish it would be more consistent. But yeah, like, it's been multiple days. Bronwyn's still in the same thing. Galadriel's still in the same thing. Halbrand's still in the same thing until like the very end, where Galadriel and Halbrand change into, war attire. But
Well,
I'm
I
just
think
like,
that
I would like people to change. Elrond's changed. Like, I just, I want to see some new costumes on some of these characters who continue to wear the same thing.
well, working in costumes as a drama, and again, I was a drama teacher. I was in plays all my life, so very small potatoes, like tater tots. But you change costumes in order to show where the character is, the fortune, the income of that character. So characters who do not change costumes, it usually means that they have no money for it. They are the poorest of the poor, like the poor in medieval times. And no, I'm not saying, but it's medieval type of costuming. That person has one outfit. They don't have any other outfits. In fact, they would wear their nightgown, their shift, under their clothes and just take the first layer off and go to sleep with their shift on. So I don't think Bronwyn and some of those characters have any other clothes because they can't own it. They're showing the poverty of the Southlands, where Galadriel has another dress and it's like seafoam green, and it's because they're showing that outward storm, and it's not a gown that is very straight laced and flowy like one that she wears. It has a lot of like layer chiffon that has a lot of ripple effect in it. So
Sorry,
again,
you cut out. I don't know if anyone else heard that, but for me, you cut out.
it has like almost like a rippling seafoam color, almost like water that is not still, that moves a lot, that has a lot of layers, a lot of ripples, because she's a wild thing. Like even her corset, the band that's pulling in on her garment does not really contain her figure. It's pretty square, it's pretty flowing with her. And I think Halbrand doesn't change until the very end because he doesn't want to change his ways till the very end. It's his armoring of the hero. So yeah, Lou, I'm like you. I want to change because I love costumes.
I
But
agree with all your points. I really
but I
do.
think
I'm just
it's
like all about Padme Amidala, where she had like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 dresses. And like, I really want to see shit like happen here where I'm like, this dress is amazing. I need to
yeah.
see more. I like, that's all I'm saying. Like, I want to, like, okay, we're 5 episodes in. I get it. Let me see something else. Like, because I know it could be really, really good too.
But who is changing a lot is Muriel.
Yes.
She is changing the most. And of course, it's status. It's partly because she's Queen Regent. So she's like the Amidala of the
Mm-hmm.
story. She has a lot of gowns, but her most significant headpiece that she wears are those two side bloom
Mm-hmm.
flowers that you see in a lot of Muka models of like the 1920s, which is very apt. But as soon as those petals fell off the tree, those blossoms are gone. And now she only has the beads, that the headdress and the beads from the headdress. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like that blossom, that bloom, those flowers are no longer part of her gown. It's like her innocence, her spring is gone, and it's now like the fall of Numenor itself.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost winter. It's almost their death.
We saw Halbrand showing off some blacksmith work with the sword and everything, and I still don't think he's Sauron. I don't think that's gonna happen yet.
Mhm.
But I do think that he is showcasing some talents, and I'm still thinking King of the Dead. Sauron giggles. Yes. Uh, I think it's a misdirect. Um, but yeah, we also have this. Oh, the guild crest he got, which means that he got that from Farazan for, whatever have you. I think he'll do any. He's talk about moral ambiguity. Halbrand is morally ambiguous,
Mm.
and I think he could definitely rule the Southlands for a time, or at least the people. The king does return in that regard, but it won't last because of his blood. But we will get to that later in a video essay. Um,
But I think
Oh, go ahead.
I think it is interesting that he is a blacksmith because that says a lot about his character. And just like Galadriel said, he uses blacksmithing as a way to get his anger out, to get
Yes.
his, and I think that is very, I think that's important. But
Yeah.
yes, continue this glorious scene with the most beautiful score.
Yeah. It'll go down as one of those fight scenes like that get picked apart, like like the throne room scene in The Last Jedi. But I, for one, really liked it. I thought it was nice to see only 1 or 2 bits of slow mo. Other than that, um, it was regular speed, and I think she acted like exactly like an elf would. Exactly like an elf with all the experience and training and fighting she has done, an elf would have acted. I
Mm.
confident and a bit sassy, and if this were a male elf, no one would have bat an eye to it, I don't think. Um,
Th-
but
this is
I
not a duel.
no, it
It's not a
wasn't.
duel.
It was very one-sided. It was her uh, besting them, kind of teaching, if you want to call it that, but she was besting them and bringing them down a peg or two. I think that it was very nice to see her. I think a part of her was having fun as well. And it was, I enjoyed it. The music was awesome. Uh, yeah. I don't think she, Lowdown says, do you think she let Valandil hit her on purpose? I don't think she did.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so. I think, uh, yeah, I don't think it was on purpose at all.
It, and that it's just a bit of fun
Mm-hmm.
if you want to take the swordmanship or the choreography seriously, you're not getting the whole reason for the scene is to show her at play. She's playing with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She's playing with them as she's teaching them. Um, so it's not even meant to be harmful to them. So like blows and stabs and things of that nature are not even meant to be serious. Um, now I wouldn't teach sword fighting because like that because even with a blunt sword, if you hit people like that and they're not ready, you could kill them. It's not just a touche; it's a decapitation. But that really doesn't matter because it's all about the purpose of this. It's all about to show um, that she makes even fighting elegant and
Mm-hmm.
beautiful.
Very much so. Um, yeah, Jonathan says, may I add, she was very well casted.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with that. There are moments where she has this look about her, she says something, and I'm just like, that's Galadriel. That
Mm-hmm.
right there. She was very well cast. I agree with that. Um, I also love the swords they're using with the horse hilt and um I love how she comments about he twirls it around and hands it back to Valandil and she makes a comment about she's never seen you know, just a blacksmith from the twirl a sword like that. Um yeah, it was just a little dig moment for her, like, come on, look at you. You're a king.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing? Like,
Mm-hmm.
come on. Um but yeah, I liked it. I liked the music with it. I liked how it was choreographed and yeah.
Just have fun with it, people.
Yeah,
Not everything has to be so serious.
right.
That scene was not supposed to be suspenseful and give
No.
you reality. That scene was to make you giggle and have fun. It reminded me of the duel in Princess Bride between Wesley and Mandy Patinkin's character. I can't remember what his name. Indigo.
Indigo
Like
Montoya.
yes, they're just playing with each other. They're not trying to kill each other. They're trying to show how masterful they both are. They're showing off. The music is playful. It's a tango. So, yeah,
Mhm.
just have fun with it. Not everything has to be nitpicked to death.
There's still a lot to see, Sauron says. I mean, it's an enjoyable show, but to me right now it does not live up to the trilogy, but a lot still to see. Um, it's only 5 episodes. It's
Mhm.
it's going to be hard to base this show's merit off of 5 episodes.
Mhm.
It really, I think the series itself has hit its stride in terms of uh, um, episode. Yeah, I am not offended. Uh, its episodic nature. I feel that it's really going to get into the meat and potatoes of what it's all going to entail in its second and third season.
Mhm.
I think that's when it's really going to come into its own. Um, yeah,
Great shows are canceled because of nitpicking from the first season
yeah,
when they're trying to get their legs. They're trying
yep,
to get their sea legs. So let's not let's give it time to get its pacing and its development. And to me, every episode gets better and better. Like,
yeah.
okay, that's some good pacing there. Okay, you've worked the kink out. So it's just let it bloom.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, so we have this lovely man trying to manipulate his father, and Kim, and I do not like you. I do
Witch
not like
King,
this.
Witch King.
I do not like the Sons of Numenor. I'm just saying. I could live without all of
Witch
them.
King.
It won't be sad for me to lose them and see them go into darkness because I'm just like, yeah, you annoyed me from the beginning. Bye.
Yep.
Sauron can have you. Have fun,
We already
Sauron.
see that Farazan does not hold him in high regard, even though he's a son, and I think that just sets up a really, really good case
Mhm.
for the Witch King.
Yeah.
We got Meteor Man healing his arm, which was pretty badass. But of course, Nori's like, "Oh no, don't do that! I gotta touch it." And then, of course, her arm gets frozen, and she's trying to stop it. And then this is where he yells, and he flings her away, and she runs away from him.
Well,
Um,
to me, it looked like I'm sorry, but it was her fault. He
oh,
didn't
of
make
course, it
her
was her
touch
fault.
it. She was
Absolutely,
curious and she was running. I was like, well, girl, it's your fault. Why did you touch that arm? I mean, you saw what was happening, that the
yeah,
ice was getting higher and higher into his arm. He was in a trance.
yeah.
And I felt like I don't know, that scene really just drove me crazy because I love Nori, but this was her at the most nonsensical in my opinion.
Like I said before, this was a scene that really gave me Saruman vibes. I mean, he is healing his arm with ice, with cold, and um and then that scream where he does get into like it's the fever pitch of her touching the his arm, her arm's frozen, she can't move it, she's trying to get away. The fever pitch of the music and his chanting, and then you see him in the um the middle of the meteor hole, and um you hear that "Ah" sound, and I thought immediately Saruman. But yeah,
Gandalf is a grouchy man too, who screams and yells at people when he is frustrated or flummoxed or anything that nature. I'm not saying that you're wrong about him being Saruman. I'm just protective of Nori. And Nori keeps on saying that she feels like she's supposed to protect this man, that she like it's good for her to do this. To me, it would be a horrible thing to do to Nori that she fostered something that will turn evil.
well,
I want her.
remember Gandalf saying to Frodo about Gollum, like, it's a pity Bilbo didn't kill him when he had the chance. Well,
Yes,
and everyone's fated. So it could be Nori's fate to begin Saruman's path on this if it were him. I totally understand what you're saying. Um,
I don't want the story to punish her for following her heart, for people to say, oh, she shouldn't have done this. She helped something that's going to end up destroying Middle Earth or cause the the ends to the ends to perish. I'm just like, we need this character to be celebrated. We need this story to reward her for the good that she's doing, or we look at her and say no good deed goes unpunished. And I feel like that's not very Tolkien. That Tolkien would reward Nori for following her heart and being like a Sam that carries someone who is wounded, to help them do what they're supposed to do to accomplish their goal in the story.
Here's a picture that I want to jump into.
Oh, so beautiful.
This dinner scene was absolutely gorgeous.
Oh,
Absolutely gorgeous. And Gil-galad trying to, master wits with Durin
oh my
is
gosh.
a fool's errand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that was, yeah. Durin explains, like, oh, this table is, where did you get this stone and blah blah blah, and it's meant to be in our mourning halls, like when our kin pass and blah blah blah. And of course Elrond's like, and Gil-galad's just like, I am so sorry, and you can take it. And then we come to find out that Durin was just messing with him, and Disa wanted a new dining room table. Oh my
Oh,
gosh,
it's perfect. I
so good.
really wanted to talk to Bear McCreary, the composer, about what was the dwarves were singing during that moment when Durin was talking about that false story of the use of the stone,
Hmm.
because you listen to the music and it sounds really mournful, and
Yeah.
like the dwarves were like singing like they were mourning, and I wonder if there's like cues in that music where the dwarves are actually seeing a hint that this is all just a joke.
Hmm. I loved it.
So shady. Gil-galad. I'm sorry, I'm an Arthurian person. Whenever I see him, I want to go Gil-galahad, but I know it's not right. But he is shady in this show. So shady.
I think it could be he's just mistrusting right now. He sees what's happening around him, and a part of him is just doing what he feels is best for his people. And I think we've yet to, like any of these characters, they do have to grow along with the show. And in the lore, Gil-galad comes to a point where he uh, truly begins to fight the darkness.
I
But at this point, we have to see him a bit mistrusting of a lot of things.
I don't think it's just mistrusting. It feels like he's a puppet master with so many of the characters. Like he is one with Elrond. He is with Galadriel, just getting rid of her, sending her on so she doesn't cause any more of the evil. It's like everything that he does is in a shadow. And he's just the most elitist character that I've ever seen. I just don't like him. And I know elves are not supposed to be likable, that elves are supposed to be snobs and elitists, but it's to the point where I don't like this character at all. He gives me the same vibes as he gives Adar gives me. Like I don't trust him at all. I talked to my sister, and my sister wonders if he is actually some sort of um, some sort of I can't think of the name. Um, he's Sauron in another form. I can't
Anatar.
remember. Yeah, Anatar, and Um, at first, I was like, no, if that happens, Tolkien lorist will be. And I was like at first going, no, that's totally against canon. You can't do that, or people will be after the show with big pitchforks, and it will get a lot worse. But then she pointed out to me, he is a puppet master, and he is like even causing dissension between other races. Um, and getting Galadriel, his biggest fighter, his biggest combat, if he is Sauron, his biggest like confronter, who's after actually going after him, away and out of the picture. So it would be interesting if the writers just went crazy amok, and they have Sauron did something with Gil-galad, and we're actually seeing another a Sauron wearing his face. I'm not saying it's happening. I'm not saying that's what's going on. I'm just saying it's something to think about. It's just something to think about. And with the myth that he tells him, we know is against lore. We know that this is not part of Tolkien's work. And he says something that I thought was really interesting. Gil-galad says, when all other senses sleep, the eye of hope is first to waken and last to shut. Maybe that is a clue. It sounds really optimistic, but if you think of what Sauron is, and what he calls hope, and that he's always watching, that there's no hope in the void, um, it could be a slight verbal hand. I don't know. I just think it's something to talk about, it's something to explore. It depends upon how brave and how crazy the writers are with the lore.
We have some super chats. The Lowdown Show. Thank you so much. Thanks for reviews. You're very welcome. We're just doing what we can here at GWS, but thank you so much for the super chat. We also
Exactly,
have
Sauron.
we also have Jonathan Hudson with the super chat. Thank you so much. Save us from Mordor. Thank you so much for both your super chats, Lowdown Show and Jonathan. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you all very much. But that was just a theory that she talked to me about. I thought it was rather brilliant and another way to watch this show. So I looked it back and watched the episode with those eyes, and it makes sense. Like, Sauron is a puppet master. Sauron wants to stir up dissension, wants to stir up and hate, and also pull resources from the earth, um, to destroy it. And look at what happens to Khazad-dûm. Look what happens to Mithril. Look what happens to the relationships between the elves and the dwarves, and the dissension that it caused. Look what happens if Disa continues to not listen to the mountain, because that's one of her skills, and Durin's like, no, we've got to drill, because we've got to save the entire elven race, and that's how the Balrog is awakened. Then again, it's more not just taking resources. It's like the evil escaping and taking strongholds of the free peoples of Middle Earth. I don't know. It's just kind of it's very interesting to think about.
Very much so. Even
Yeah,
though
I
this lore,
agree.
even though this lore was, Elrond said, apocryphal at best, this was visually fucking stunning. Okay,
Yeah.
this was like Glorfindel battling the Balrog, and I mean, even though it's not the true lore of Mithril and how it came to be, oh, it is very Tolkien-esque that Mithril could possibly have stemmed from a Silmaril. I mean, this is stunning visually. Um, Sauron says Sauron is fooling the elves in the shadows on a made up story of the Mithril for his own good. They call him many names for many reasons. As Adar's speech says, you have been told many lies of Middle Earth. And that is a great point that
This all could be a
this all
lie.
could, this is, this, even this, the visual is a lie. This is what happens when um, the lies begin to corrupt someone's discernment and someone's vision of what really is. It's very poignant, even for a viewer. It's like, obviously we know this is not the true lore of Mithril, but oh my gosh, could it send an emotional shockwave through the elven world if it were true,
Yeah.
if people believed this.
And the
Um,
dwarves too. I mean, it sends Durin on a false mission. I've got
Took the
it.
words right out of my mouth.
Yeah, I've got to get. Well, I just said it a couple of minutes ago. It's like we gotta get the mithril to save my friend, to save the elves. Dig, 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 dig. So it's not digging greedily. It's now digging because he's trying to save lives. But it does wake up evil, just like I said a couple minutes ago. It's yeah, it's brilliant either way. I like this change. I like this retcon.
Um, Miranda Alicia with a super chat. Thank you so much. Sauron is as much a puppet master as Sidious and Thrawn put together.
Hmm.
Very much so. Very much a puppet master.
And this is another thing. This is why I asked you. I asked Lou before the stream. To me, Tolkien is different in the fact that although there is evil and good in everyone, even though there are moral ambiguity, it's not like Star Wars and that light and dark seeks a balance. And Tolkien's world, like evil is evil and good is good, and they're forever fighting. There's not a harmony there. This the explanation of how Mithril was created is, in his own words, as powerful and as pure as light, and as strong and unyielding as evil. Almost like Mithril is the balance between good and evil, which to me doesn't sound like something that an elf would say. I don't know. Just again, another thought.
Um, if it were really Sauron shape-shifting into the form of Gil-galad, and Gil-galad is being kind of held against his will somewhere, uh, this darkness that is beginning to corrupt even Lindon and the trees itself, and you see these veins of black and dark, and it's coming into the tree. It would, I can see it twofold. If Gil-galad, if Sauron really is portraying himself as Gil-galad at this moment, um, it would make sense why the tree would be doing this, and the leaves and everything. Everything's being corrupted. Sorry, I have a cat on my lap and she doesn't want to move. But if Gil-galad is not has not been hidden, but this is still significant that if Anatar is in confidence with Celebrimbor about building this forge, then just the mere presence alone of Sauron in this elven sanctuary is beginning to corrupt the area around him. Like, regardless of what happens, the mere presence of Sauron being back in Middle Earth is beginning to show itself. I love that, regardless of how it ends up being the case.
Sorry.
Did we lose you for a second?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Got it. I was just talking about the, tree dying and what all did you hear before you
I
left?
I didn't hear anything.
Huh.
Um, my computer decided to get me off of this page. I keep doing that. I hit something and then I I am sent to the world between worlds.
Mm, no worries. What was I gonna do? Sorry, an hour and 15 minutes. Hmm, do I want to move to? Well, we already talked about Galadriel talking to Halbrand. Oh, we got Adar showing his psychopathic tendencies. Half after Bronwyn's speech, half of the people at the tower follow the innkeeper or the bartender, and they go to Adar, and the guy thinks Adar is Sauron, so he bows to him and pledges allegiance. And then Adar's like, "Nope, you got to pretty much show me." And he takes Theo's friend, if you want to call it that, and pretty much says, "Yeah, you're gonna have to kill him." And it's just, oh my god, like, yikes,
Mhm.
yikes, yikes town right here.
Yeah.
We got Theo trusting Arandir and showing him the sword hilt, and then they kind of say, "Oh, I've seen that before," and then they see this. Of course, the tower used to be under control of Morgoth, and oh my gosh, like not good, not good.
Yeah, it's a key. It's a
Yeah,
key that unlocks the power, but it's also is a curse and keeps these people of the Southlands under Sauron's thumb. I did love this moment that led to this reveal that Theo is starting to trust, where he says to Theo that it took him 200 years to develop the bravery that Theo shows in 14 years. I
yeah.
just thought that was such a lovely moment between them,
Mm-hmm.
which led to this vulnerability to show what Theo has done. I wonder if, okay, I wonder if this is going to lead to Bronwyn or Andir sacrificing their lives to save Theo because Theo is marked and only blood binds. Because
Hmm.
Theo is now he is now the key has now tasted his blood. So I'm just like I wonder this has to this binding this blood thing has got to be some sort of curse that locks because it's a mark on your skin. It's like almost like a branding. So of who is it like you're mine. Um, I don't know. I feel like there is going to be this sacrifice issue that is going to continue of freedom and of promises and the releasing of those promises. It's the price of blood.
We also got a good moment between Bronwyn and Rondir where she's basically ready to give up. Uh, and she's like, "This is who we are. We follow Sauron, and is this what we have to do in order to save ourselves?" And he has this moment where he's telling her no, um, but she's like, "There's no other way." And then she's like, this tower. She talks about the tower falling, and then it's like an epiphany where she's like, "What if we make this tower?" Like, she looks at it like we could literally bring this place down upon them. So
Mhm.
I'm wondering if that is alluding to how they are going to possibly win this battle. Um, yeah, it was interesting. Dark Lord Sauron says the sword key will erupt Mount Doom into its creation. Goes back to the Adar scene about sun soon going. I do feel Mount Doom's going to erupt. I think we're going to need to see it. Obviously, Mordor flourishes, and it, you know, we have to see the beginnings of that. But I do feel Mount Doom's going to erupt at some point.
Mhm.
Um, we got the returning of the table. Uh, it's an amazing moment between Durin and Elrond. Elrond pretty much confesses about going to Durin originally, but Durin, being one of the most awesome characters in the show, pretty much forgives him. And I really hope Elrond does not break his oath. We see it's almost possible in this episode, but he doesn't do it. And I just love everything about their friendship.
I do too. I love the fact that he has Elrond repeat, who's what is in my hands? Whose hands is it in? And he's
Yep.
like, your hands. It's like Turin delights in this idea that the power is in his hands. He still uses that as a moment to tease Elrond.
Yeah, it goes back to the moment where they first met when Disa asked and Ellen said, "No, I saved his life." Well, now all of the elves' lives are in Durin's hands. I just love it.
Mhm.
I absolutely
Mhm.
love it. Um, we see, well, first off, everyone gets on the boat. They have 3 ships left because Kemen sets one on fire, and it's this whole thing, and that's why I think he's the Lich King of Angmar. But anyway, Isildur pretty much saves the day, saves his life, and covers for him, saying, "No, he was in a fishing boat." Blah. It's like totally unbelievable, but of course, Elendil maybe believes it, maybe not, but whatsoever. Um, Elendil allows Isildur to come with, and we get moments of Galadriel coming on the ship and everyone's at attention and she's glorious. She's got the light behind her. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're fierce as fuck and I love it. And then we got Halbrand. He makes a decision. He does go with them. He's going to become the king he was meant to be. King of the dead. And yeah,
Oh.
there's a moment where they do clasp hands together. And that music is very telling.
Mhm.
Right when they clasp, well, right before it, it's very soaring and sweeping as Galadriel's making her way across the boat. When she gets to him, the music kind of slows a bit and mellows. And then there is this brief moment of ominous chanting. And then it's kind of masked by this kingly melody. But I think this is one of the last times they're going to stand together.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that and I was like, that is some minor key in a very glorious, epic moment where all the themes and leitmotifs just
Yeah.
blossom. And you're just like, this is so emotionally powerful. Then you hear this boom
Yeah.
once they shake hands. So, yeah, I think you're right on
Like for
target
better or
there.
for worse, they
Yes.
are fated
Well,
together.
Well, like, listen to what she says in the second episode when they're adrift. She goes, Bind yourself to me."
Yeah.
Yeah, so, like, that gesture of, like, they've been bonded together for, like you said, fated.
Hmm. I do love how their helmets are reminiscent with the horsetails, just like Rohan has
Mhm.
theirs on the horsetails. I love that. I love the little nods to what we've seen already. And
Yep.
yeah, I love
Yeah,
it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
just the deal and they're the cavalry.
Yeah.
They're the cavalry, they're the horsemen, so you see that that Rohirrim, loveliness and the very origins of that split that they're going to have.
Hmm. I love it. We got this as the show's promo picture, and it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. We also have Charlie in this moment playing Halbrand, and I think he's mirroring Aragorn in many, many ways. But King of the Dead. That's King of the Hill. It's a hill I'm gonna die on.
Like even his armor looks almost like dragon scales,
Mm,
like almost reptilian.
yeah.
So that could be on purpose too. I don't
Oh yeah.
know. But I included that slide because it is badass.
Hmm.
And I can't wait to see what the new episode is going to bring.
Yeah. 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 I'm loving it. I'm loving it so far. It
Yeah, I
feels like I'm
do.
in Middle Earth, and if you turn off everything that the haters and the clickbait, it's actually really enjoyable. So
Mhm.
yeah, I'm all about it.
I
All
am
about it.
too. A lot of mystery, a lot of ambiguity, and a lot of food for discussion. So we'll
Mm-hmm.
have to see what. I can't believe like it's only the fifth episode, and we're already having a climax to the story and everything. I'm like,
Well, what we only have 3 or 4 more episodes to go,
I
so
know it's
I know.
it's it's.
I hope we don't have to wait a whole year. Ugh, I hate
I
that.
think so. I think
Ugh.
so. I think they're wanting it too because they want to work out the kinks. They want to see what works, what doesn't, and what makes people. I hate to say it, but it seems like media, the narrative is based on a lot of what the public thinks, and if they can smooth it out for more general appeal.
Mm. Mhm. Well, thank you everyone for joining us this evening or early this morning, depending on where you are. Thank you so much to our moderators and for everyone who gave super chats and for everyone listening back. Just thank you. Thank you for all your support.
Yes.
Yep, you can definitely. Oh, Sauron says they are starting production in UK, Scotland, and New Zealand in October. So beautiful. I would hope at the end of 2023 then. If they're starting production in October, I would hate if it were early 2024. Ugh, to go through
Mhm.
all of 2023 without Rings of Power just makes me sad.
Yes. Yes.
Um, but yeah. Anyway, I'm Luthian. This is Emrys. And you can find us on social media, Instagram, Facebook. If you want to give some doll hairs to us, we have a Patreon. You can also buy our merch on TeePublic. There's a sale right now up to 35% off. It's going through tonight. It'll end tomorrow if you want to check out our merch. All these links are in the description below this video. And yeah, next time you can catch us, we'll be on Stream Lounge. That link's also in the description. We are watching Andor. The first 3 episodes dropped this past Wednesday, and I'm loving it so far. I can't wait to see more and more intrigue with it and more characters and Mon Mothma, my lady. I can't wait. But
Yeah.
it's a fun time.
It
Definitely a
is
fun
a
time.
fun time. Yes. Um, this is our exclusive source for Andor, so
Yeah, until
come
Rings
and
of
join
Power ends.
us. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So that's it. That's all. That's all I got.
Yes. Everyone, again, thank you so much for joining us. Luthien gave you all the details, and we'll see you next week as we break down episode 6 of The Rings of Power. Thank you so much for joining us. Peace, love, second breakfast. Gird your lore, and
May the Valar be with you. Bye bye.
bye.